Hello, welcome back for Unit 3 of our Contemporary World History course here at Waldorf University Online. And this week, we're getting into the late World War II and kind of post-war, early Cold War era. And as we kind of get into Unit 3 here, like last week, you've got three different things to accomplish. So first, you've got the discussion board. Make sure that as we kind of get in here, I want to see us driving good depth through deploying sources if we need to, be bringing in outside evidence, and having more to say than just, well, this is my opinion. I want you to be developing analysis to these questions, and this question this week I think is a pretty good one. So what I want you talking about on the discussion board with your first post due by Saturday at 11:59 p.m. Central Standard, and then Tuesday, your follow-up post also by 11:59 p.m. Central Standard Time. I want you to consider which leader of kind of what they call the big three of the Allied powers in World War II, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, Joseph Stalin, or Winston Churchill, showed the greatest historical agency for the Allied powers during World War II. And so historical agency is a really important skill for us when we think about kind of studying the past. And in agency, a lot of times we want to think about how a situation would be different if that person wasn't there. Agency can also apply to groups, but we're really focused on people this week. And we have three good ones that show a lot of good historical agency. So maybe you're going to talk about Roosevelt and his kind of motivations in the war, or Stalin and Churchill. I just want you to pick one of them, talk about how the decisions they made mattered, how they might be different if there was somebody else in their shoes. We can see this with some of these leaders differently. Like Roosevelt eventually passes away, and he's not going to be there at the close of World War II. We're going to see Truman come into the presidency. Maybe we also can see this with Churchill, who's going to replace Neville Chamberlain, coming into the prime ministership of England kind of around the time the war starts, and also then eventually leave office by the end of the war. Stalin's going to be there the whole time, so maybe we just have contrast him with other people. Anyway, make sure that you're bringing some evidence in to support your points. Have a thoughtful discussion over there, and that'll be a great way to get us into the content for the week. You do have an assessment and an essay this week, so the assessment and essay both due Tuesday at 11:59 p.m. Your assessment this week has two different questions, both requiring responses 75 words in length. One of the things that I often see in Unit 2 is we kind of just try to get to those minimum word counts, and what's more important is the content you're driving. And that seems pretty obvious, but make sure that you're thinking is at least as much, probably if not more, about what you're saying than how much of it you're saying. So your two questions this week are going to look at the rise of two of the Axis powers during World War II. So first question is, why did other European nations not react more strongly to Germany's aggressive actions during the mid-1930s? So as Hitler's rising to power in Germany, we're going to see many other European powers take on a strategy of appeasement. As Germany starts to take territory or really push kind of international agreements, many of the leaders throughout Europe, particularly in England, are going to try to kind of just find a solution that works. Famously, the Prime Minister of Great Britain in the run-up to World War II is going to say, Herr Hitler's a man we can do business with, after they sign an agreement. Obviously, that doesn't turn out to be the case. And I want you to be thinking about this and kind of putting together a quality response to use some evidence there. Your second question is taking us to the Pacific and asking about Japan's justification for its ambitious moves in East Asia during the 1930s as we're running up to World War II. One of the things that we'll see both in the text and historically is that Japan's going to talk a lot about as they're expanding kind of rapidly out of the home islands throughout the rest of East Asia and into the Pacific. They're going to talk about an Asia ruled by Asiatic peoples. That's one of the things that you could incorporate into your response, but you'll see some others in the text. And I want you to be talking about Japan's justifications for their moves during the 1930s. So that's kind of it for the assessment. You'll then have your Unit 3 essay. So I want you to take one Chapter 7 event for this and explain how it kind of contributes to the period of intense ideological competition as we move into the Cold War. I really like how in the syllabus schedule document, it gives you 5 steps here to kind of work towards this 2-page essay. So first, you want to choose one U.S. intervention from Chapter 7 that relates to the Cold War. There's a lot of different examples in the text. Just pick one. That's a mistake I've seen students make. They'll try to pick and talk about a few different things. I want you to just be one. Just pick one. Then gather details and compare facts as you start your research. So once you kind of get through some of that research, choose, again, one visual or print primary source that addresses kind of controversy or differences of opinion regarding your event. So as you do this, this could be posters, political cartoons, paintings, film clips, other propaganda. We did this really well earlier in the course, so if you succeeded with that the first time, keep doing what you're doing. You're doing great. From your research, choose also 2 appropriate scholarly sources, whether it's using the library guide that's highlighted in the syllabus schedule for the course, or using the Waldorf Online Library or Google Scholar. Make sure there's 2 quality scholarly sources. This means that in addition to the textbook, you should probably have 3 other sources showing up in that bibliography for this paper. As you do this, I want you to just be thinking about the quality evidence that you're bringing in. Once you've got your research done, draw some conclusions from the comparison and range of opinion that shows up in your research, and summarize kind of how the chosen United States intervention relating to the Cold War contributed to the period of intense ideological competition during the Cold War. Once you've kind of got that done, I think you're in great shape to put together a thesis statement that should offer your readers specific insights into the outcomes and perspectives of the event that you're talking about. Once there's a bunch of guidelines there, again, in the document for putting together a thesis statement, like making sure that it kind of relates both to the event and kind of conflict inherent in the Cold War. You can ask yourself about what the event suggests about changes in the nature and scope of the Cold War during the period, and ask yourself whether the event resulted in greater tensions between the USSR, the United States, and or other peoples around the globe. You could also ask yourself how the primary source was shaped by the time and environment, and just kind of use those guidelines to put together a clear thesis that should show up in that introduction as you're putting together your paper. A lot of times, what people will do with this assignment in their 2 pages is they'll put together, obviously, an introduction and conclusion. Those are going to be 2 paragraphs. And then the other 2, maybe 1 paragraph giving kind of background using your sources to talk about the event within the Cold War, and then kind of the other paragraph that's going to make up the meat of your body being focused on kind of its implications for the broader Cold War. Now, you don't have to do it that way, but that's a strategy I've seen work for a lot of different students. Make sure your essay itself is at least 2 pages in length, plus APA style bibliography, which should be your reference page, and then a title page on the front. Otherwise, we should be in great shape. If you got any questions about any of this stuff or anything else that's going on in the course, make sure you're reaching out. Good luck this week.